Hi everyone, it's Kathie. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I have a new project that I'll be sharing with you. We're going to feature the June 2018 Paper Pumpkin Kit, and this is the second alternate video, I guess, because I have 5 cards that I'm going to be sharing with you. Alright, we're going to get started. I have some black VersaFine Onyx ink, and I have the sticker panel with the balloons and candles on it, and also the lovely lipstick sticker panel, and a white card panel that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. What we're going to do is we're going to take a little strip off of the bottom of the lovely lipstick panel. Before we get started, here's a look of the finished card. Really nice and simple. Alright, we're going to snip out that little strip on the lovely lipstick panel, and I'm sticking that onto a top folding card base, and we'll just snip off the excess. And then with the white card panel, I'm just going to remove 1/8 of an inch so that when we put those two pieces together, you're going to see the lovely lipstick strip there. Alright, so we're going to stamp the sentiment next on the white panel, and I came up about 1 1/4 inches from the bottom, and I used a black piece of cardstock at the 1 1/4 inch mark so that when I stamp the sentiment, it'll be nice and straight. And then with my ruler, I'm coming in about 1/4 inch from the bottom. And with the Tim Holtz ruler, I just center it onto the panel with the center guide. And that'll ensure that when I stick the candles down, it'll be straight and evenly across. And I'm sorry my hair is in the way, but I finally decided to cut my hair. For a whole year, I let my bangs grow out, and it drove me mental. Like, really, it did. So I finally gave up on the one length hair, and now I have my bangs back, and I really enjoy it so much better because it's no longer in my face anymore, and it drove me mental. I already said that, didn't I? All right, so that's the card. Really easy putting it together. And then I did finish it off with 3 of the sequins that came in the kit. And moving on to the second card, another really easy one. I pre-stamped the sentiment. With the striped card base from the kit, I cut out 3 long strips in black and white and 3 shorter ones. Now it does have a white core, so I did color in the black side of the strips with the black Stampin' Write marker just so that it has a nicer finish. Starting off with the sentiment, I stuck it onto the Berry Burst panel about 1 1/2 inches from the bottom. And now we're ready to stick down all of the strips, starting with the longer ones. And just make sure that you have them all in the right orientation. And then we'll stick down the shorter end, and then we'll remove the excess. Now it did kind of look a little bit plain to me, so I decided to pull out the little starburst stamp from the kit. I'm just going to ink up the 3 little stars in the cluster with Versamark, and then I'll stamp 3 of them just above the sentiment, and then we'll gold emboss that. I did put some anti-powder on there first. And it looks pretty nice, but I think it actually needs a 4th one just below the sentiment, which I would probably do later on. Okay, we're going to remove the powder off of the panel, and then we're going to stick it onto a top folding card base. So that's our second card, super easy. And you could very well use the same layout with different colored card bases, and it will look just as nice. Alright, so here's a couple of stills of the finished card. Alright, we're moving on to the third card, and this one actually I think is my favorite. So, we've cut down the lovely lipstick panel to 3 7/8 by 1 1/16. That's pretty well what it measures out to be. And we're going to get back to that. I have the Hooray that I stuck onto white card base and just fussy cut it out. A small little sentiment. The top panel measures 3 7/8 wide by 3 1/2 inches tall. And then the small panel is 3 7/8 wide by 1 inch tall. And then the card panel is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So here's the finished card. Really cute. Okay, with my ruler, I'm about 7/8 inch from the bottom, and I just use that to guide me to make sure I get that lovely lipstick sticker on there straight. And then I'm going to stick down the small panel next, and I decided that I was going to raise these 2 panels with dimensionals. As you can see, they're completely covered with dimensionals. And then I'm going to also stick that top one down, just eyeballing it, making sure that it's nice and even overall. And then for the hooray sentiment, I've decided I'm going to raise that one too. So I put dimensionals on the back of that. And then I decided to add a little bit of glue on that letter H, and I kind of messed up because my needle has stained my glue, so it got onto the white panel. So I kind of fussed about that. I did use my white gel pen to kind of cover it up, but you can still kind of see it. Anyway, I figured that I was going to put the little small sentiment right over top, so that was perfect. And it is a little crooked, I know. Afterwards, I do end up raising it with some dimensionals, and I think it looks a lot better. All right, so back to the lovely lipstick panel. I measured from the bottom about 1 1/2 inches, and then we're just going to sketch in a little dome shape. And then we'll just cut out that section just to make it a little bit easier to work with. Okay, and I did do a lot of fussing, just making sure that dome is nice and even. And I'm using the Blossom Builder punch to punch out the little tail. All right, so now we're going to cut out the bunny ears by using 2 of the cake pieces. Okay, and I thought the bunny was maybe a tad on the big side, so here I am shaving this bunny down a little bit, just kind of getting him a little bit shorter, a little bit narrower, and also I decided to taper in the bottom sides a bit more, just to give it a little more shape. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that, and then we're just going to glue down the ears. So we'll glue the 2 together first. See how my glue's a little bit stained? And now we're going to glue the body to the ears. And I've decided I'm going to raise the bunny with some dimensionals. Okay, and then here's where I'm fixing that sentiment with some more dimensionals on that. And then with the black twine from the kit, I tied a little bow, and with a glue dot, stuck it down just below the bunny ears. And then I added 3 of the tiny little pearls that came in the kit. So that's our card, really cute. Here's a couple of stills of the finished card. And then on to the next card. With Balmy Blue, I'm just shading in the left side of the panel. And then on the right side, I took off a 1/2 inch. And I'll be using a top folding card base. I also cut out a 1/2 inch strip of Bermuda Bay, and I also trimmed out a 1/4 inch strip from the black and white card base from the kit. And I'm sticking that down on the right side of the Bermuda Bay strip. And then here's that panel that I just shaded in. I'm gonna stamp the sentiment first, and that's just above the 2 inch mark from the top, just to give you an idea how far down I came. And then I just adhered that to the panel. So our layout is all done, and now we're going to work on that cake. Okay, so we're just going to stamp the cake onto white panel, and then I just created a little quick mask with some plain paper. And we're going to stamp again. All right, we're going to do some fun coloring, starting off with soft suede. We're just gonna color in the icing part of the cake by doing some scribble coloring. So you don't need a steady hand for this part. And literally I am scribbling because you want this cake to look uneven along the edges, because that's what icing somewhat looks like. And it's okay to have the white spaces in between because it gives it depth. Okay, and we're going to come in with Sahara sand anyway and just kind of soften up the white a little bit. And then for the cake layers, I'm using So Saffron. And again, we're scribbling in the color. And I do come back in with the soft suede with the fine tip and just adding some dots on the right side of the cake there, just for a bit of texture. And then I came in with the Sahara sand, shaded that side a little bit more, and then I added a little bit more So Saffron. And I did add another layer of soft suede icing onto the cake just to get it a little bit darker. All right, I think it looks really yummy, and it looks like there's really icing on the cake. Now this part here, I decided I'm going to add a dish, I guess, for the cake. And I figured if it didn't turn out, I can just cut out the cake piece and then grab my dies. And I was trying to avoid doing that. So if you have oval shaped dies, you could probably create an oval shaped dish, I guess. But I was persistent that I was just going to draw it myself and then we'll cut them out together. So I did fuss with this. Now you want the top part of that plate to be straight across. You don't want it dipping inwards or out because then it'll look a little wonky. So make sure it's straight. And then of course you want the curve of the plate to be even. Now I decided I needed a shadow underneath the cake. I'm using the gray Stampin' Up! Watercolor pencil, and for some reason my camera there decided to kind of blow out the image there, but now it's okay. I don't know why that happened, but I'm just shading it a little bit more at the bottom there, and I did hit it with the aqua brush just a bit. And I decided I wanted to add a little rim on that plate, but my head was right in the frame because I was really concentrating to not be too wobbly, but I was wobbly nonetheless. But I can live with it, so we'll just leave it at that. I did raise the piece with some dimensionals, and to finish off the card, I added 4 of the sequins that came in the kit. Well, another super easy card with some fun coloring. Now you could have added maybe a candle or 2 by using the candles that came in the kit, but I didn't think it really matched that well. And now we're on to a couple of stills of the finished card. Okay, so here's the 5th card. This was my original idea in my head, and I kind of decided to scrap it, really. But after all said and done, I decided that I'm going to share it with you after all. Mind you, I did delete the footage on how I stamped out that background, but it's pretty easy to recreate. It's just random stamping on the black card panel. So I basically just stamped around the panel and embossed it in gold. And then I went back in and did the same thing and embossed it in white. And that way it'll have a nice contrast. Okay, so I used the lemon line twist panel from the kit and stuck it onto a side folding card base. And the black panel measures 3 7/8, and I centered it onto the lemon line twist panel. And I stuck down the Hooray sentiment with some dimensionals. And that's it. Here's a couple of stills of the finished card. And now we're going to move into a quick summary of all 5 cards that we created today. I hope you enjoyed today's card tutorial. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye for now.